स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's gospel class, I have selected the topic It is the whirlpool of the Vishalakshi, a stream near Kamarpukur. Sri Ramakrishna says further, he who has fallen into it cannot put himself out again, cannot pull himself out again. He who has fallen into it cannot pull himself out again. Come here, now and then. See, in this instruction, how Sri Ramakrishna has clearly pointed out that we should rise up. And he is showing the method of rising up also. He says, come now and then. Come now and then. That means Sri Ramakrishna wants those people who want to rise up from the material level to spiritual level to come to him more often. So constant association with holy persons is very essential. Without that you will not be able to rise up at all from the terrible state of material level. So as long as a person is on the material level, he is bound by all the material wants, and he is caught under the net of multiple desires. Sri Ramakrishna also tells the reason why people are not able to rise. He clearly points out again in the gospel, it is because of the ego. Ignorance lasts as long as one has ego. There can be no liberation. See how clear Sri Ramakrishna in his words. There can be no liberation so long as the ego remains. So you should cherish the attitude, O God, thou art the doer and not I. That is knowledge. You have to rise up from ignorance to knowledge. By being lowly, that means by being humble, one can rise high. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of chatak bird. It makes its nest on low ground, but it soars very high in the sky. He gives another example. Cultivation is not possible on high land. In low land, water accumulates and makes cultivation impossible. So if you are humble, you are the foremost in receiving divine grace. one must take the trouble to seek the company of holy persons. In his own home, a man hears only worldly talk. These are words of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. In his own home, a man hears only worldly talk. The disease of worldliness has become chronic with him. So in that chronic condition, how can you rise? How can you even think of rising up? You get frustrated. It is true, material life is nothing but a life of frustration. Again Sri Ramakrishna said, worldly people ask why one does not get rid of attachment to lust and gold. Why the man is so much attracted towards it. That attachment disappears after the realization of God. If a man once tastes the bliss of Brahman, then his mind no longer runs after the enjoyment of sense pleasures, or wealth, or name and fame. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a moth. If the moth once sees the light, it no longer goes into the darkness. All worship and spiritual discipline are directed to one end alone, namely to get rid of worldly attachment. It's only when you are able to get rid of attachment to the world, then really you can rise. The more you meditate on God, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example how to get rid of the worldly attachment. Sri Ramakrishna says, the more you meditate on God, the less you will be attached to the trifling things of the world. But you must be sincere and honest in your meditation, in your prayers to God. Then you feel the effect of it. The more you love the lotus feet of God, the less you will crave the things of the world or pay heed to creature comforts. You look on another man's wife as your mother and regard your own wife as your companion in spiritual life. You will get rid of your bestial desires and acquire godly qualities. You will be totally unattached to the world. Though you may still have to live in the world, you will live as a Jivan Mukta. So, we must be very clear whether we are really rising up or tied down to this world. The more and more you come towards spirituality, that is the indication of rising up. Slowly and slowly. That means you have to rise up from the material level to spiritual level. One has to do conscious effort in order to rise up. That's what the Upanishad says in the Kathopanishad. It says, Jagrata, Uttishtata Jagrata, Prapyavara Nibodhata. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. The goal is to realize this celestial bliss of truth. So, how important it is to aspire for rising up to spiritual level. That means you must not simply end up with your material life. You have to rise up to spiritual level, and spiritual life is most important and most essential in order to experience the glory of God. On this earth, man is superior being. Why? Because he has a mind which is capable of rich imagination and lofty aspiration. The evolution in the case of animals has been in regard to body. Its whole focus is on body only. If you see the animal, 24 hours it will be looking at its body and licking in this way, that way. Even when it is moving, it is concentrated on its body. Body is everything for it. The evolution in the case of animals has been in regard to body, whereas man's evolution concerns his thinking and feeling. Very important. Man must reach out for the higher mental life. Unfortunately, very few realize this basic truth. Instead of that, they waste their precious lives trying to live as beasts, piggishly contented with the muddy values of life. The competitive basis on which modern civilization is schemed is responsible for the material riches of the few and the spiritual bankruptcy of all. It has led to a chronic confusion of all true values, or to be correct, to a reduction to one standard, the monetary standard. People always look upon you, how much money he has got, what is his status. So people give respect depending upon how much man possesses wealth. Now life should proudly ring in terms of money at the threshold. That's what happens when people are on material level. Just as the animal always thinks about its body, just in the same way, man on the material level always thinks about money, money, money. 24 hours. Thinking of money, working for money. And keep on working until death. Even after death, if God allows some more time to live, still he struggles to get more money. That is because he has got chronic worldly tendencies. So, bank account and not quality is now the test of nobility. The worldly people always look that way. So this interpretation and practice have led to a way of life, both consciously and unconsciously, in which external excellence alone counts. People are totally unaware of their inward excellence. Because of extrovert tendencies, man's mind is fully drawn out into the material level, almost to the point of forgetting its spiritual dimension. The objective method is the ruling mode of approach. But on deeper thought, it is clear that it starves the inner life and shoals up at the heart dunes of misery. The innate longings of man remain either unsatisfied or lie buried under a mound of creature comforts gained by sweating and exploiting the many for the sake of a few. You may ask, why a plea for higher life, a selfless life? Why? Whence this persistent urge even in the midst of rank and conscious luxury or ruin. The urge is innate in man, a divine discontent with all conditions of life which do not nourish the progress of the inner spirit. However fine may be the wick, it is the oil that is of the essence of life to the flame. Evolution is a playful but rigorous quest after quality and not quantity, after harmony, not mere riches, after assimilation and not accumulation. Man, without establishing his relationship with his inner self, feels a void even in the midst of plenty. He is never wholly at home in highest moods with his environment, which sways his passion and disturbs his peace. He is eager to realize a deeper and more intricate rhythm of life than what the vegetable or the animal, even at its highest, has achieved so far. The vegetable and the animal, even the choicest in their kingdom, treat life objectively, even in the finest projections of their life. But man knows that true peace, realization lies not that way. The kingdom of God is within. The subjective mode is the true and the invaluable and the only authentic mode for self-realization. If one is at knowledge and peace with one's own self, one has established one's harmony with the whole world. The inner spirit or the Atman, it is that matters. To realize it is the Ananda, the imperishable or the real gain. All objective experiences and acquisitions are perishable. Even if it is gold, it is trash. That's why Sri Ramakrishna would hold in both the hands, on one hand clay and another hand coin. He would exchange them, repeated and tell, what is this? Taka mati, mata taki. Taka mati, mata taki. Then he threw them both into Ganges. That is exactly true. Even if it is gold, it is trash. And the quest after the real, the imperishable, is the eternal quest. This conception of a higher life, spiritual life, is a kind of yoga, and it leads to self-realization. In order to get self-realization, you have to rise up from the material plane into spiritual plane. Otherwise, you can never realize truth, even though whole life you keep on reading the books and attending seminars and debates. No, unless you rise up from the material level to the spiritual level, it's impossible to attain self-realization. The higher life is impossible without the control over the senses and the food by which the senses are fed. And by control is meant not the purely negative process of suppression, but the creative process of transmutation of the energy by which the senses are nourished. Rigorous economy is practiced. The waste is cut down to a minimum. The energy is stored and converted into its higher forms by the process of tapas or sublimation into creative power, as expressed in arts and literature in its social forms, or as cosmic consciousness in its highest divine form, which enables one to realize the nature of reality. How you convert the energy which your food releases is a primary problem that matters in evolution and really distinguishes human life from the vegetable and the animal. That is plant life and animal life. In animal life, it undoubtedly goes to feed the brawn and the muscle that wins in turn they feed. It goes to feed the brawn and the muscle that wins in turn the feed. But man alone creates a surplus of energy above that required for his feed, and transforms it even in the lowest scale of civilization into some sort of mind power. Even in the vegetable kingdom or the animal life, the response is not always the same. Let us say to a bucket of water. The fruit tree responds to a pail of water with a bunch of fruits. A flower creeper with a basket full of fresh and sweet flowers. The prickly pear with a shower of thorns. The cow returns a pail of milk for water, and the serpent an ounce of deadly poison for a cup of warm milk. Even though the response varies much more acutely in human life, it depends on the heart and soul impulse, the gland metabolism of each. Every man stores and releases this surplus energy, each in his own unique way. Often it is mere physical strength, sex energy. Sometimes it is brain power, and rarely soul force. It is a problem of religion to induce the conversion in one authentic way of this energy into the highest creative and cosmic form. And he who leads the higher life will respond to all stimulus, good or bad, only with soul force, thoughts of love and deeds of service. Three great qualities invariably characterize a man who leads the higher life or spiritual life. All his activities are selfless, bodily or mental. He seeks directly or indirectly no personal gain. His reaction to ignorance or wickedness is equally a response of love. He is always courageous both in his decisions and actions, for he feels he has the strength and support of truth on his side. Love is then the dominant characteristic and lives in the very atmosphere about him. Even premeditated wickedness is subdued before his loving presence. Naturally, when these qualities are present, action is pure and elevated. It becomes selfless and freed from the desires for its fruits. Even in the case of Ramana Maharshi life, we have seen how true it is. All the animals, they will come and play around him. There is no enmity among the animals in the vicinity of Ramana Maharshi. He would talk to them, literally. And that is the tremendous spiritual force. He who has reached this stage in the spiritual life perceives easily, clearly, and at every step the unity in diversity, the diversity in unity, the divine outline in the details, and the varied details in the outline. He has a loving smile of welcome and a childlike laugh of recognition to everything under the sky, from the meanest to the highest, as he perceives a common thread of sacred life, knitting all into one garland for the mother. It is here, in a vital aspect of selfless work, that modern civilization has signally failed. It has dwarfed the individual. It has plunged all into the lower life, which is a cycle of repetitive waste. With its road roller methods of organization and mass production, it has standardized into one low level even some of the finer and more graceful aspects of the lower life of materialism. For the proper pursuit of the higher life, absolute freedom to the individual to live on the minimum and experiment on the maximum scale is necessary. This sense of freedom must float in the atmosphere of the times, encouraging the eager to pursue the higher path, and the social conditions must offer to the pilgrim rest houses on the way and milestones and finger posts that cheer. Modern civilization is inverting the conditions for the success of this great adventure of the spirit of man. But the urge in him to live the higher life is ancient and powerful as his own emergence. We await an avatar to declare for all men once again the glory of selfless, unattached work. By substituting the competitive for the selfless base of action, we have reduced the higher inheritance into the lower life. The very riches we have gathered with the sweat of the brow have choked our system with impurities. Now the conversion of energy, either individually or collectively, is so canalized as to lead only to selfish profits. Friction and misery are generated at every turn of the wheel. Every volt of energy is commercialized at so much per unit according to well-known classification such as skilled and unskilled labor, each with its own graded and arbitrary values in money. No conversion takes place without regard to its bank value. No labor is wholly selfless, and it is impossible to be selfless. This is a tragic perversion in view of the higher aims of evolution. Money as a center of our inner spirits is an extremely unreal, artificial center. So all our activities are really going on in our modern civilization without a spiritual center or even a cultural understanding. So all our work is diffuse, exhausting, unrelated, and overlapping. Even well-meant activities are affected by the atmosphere of material gains and result only in exploitation and self-aggrandizement of the individual or the nation. Even the vast ocean which receives the river humbly returns the gift to the maker through the clouds. Man alone of God's creation hesitates, argues, and doubts whether he should do a selfless act and thus return to God and society the gifts they have given him in the shape of sunlight and air, food, and 100 other things. We can return these gifts in truth only by leading the higher life, only by absorbed and selfless work, unattached to the fruits of action, only by rising up from material plane to spiritual plane. This is in essence the higher life in the great Gita tradition, not for the chosen few, but for all men, active, courageous, exploring, patient, calm, and loving life. Then the Leela of creation, already rich in variety, will get all the richer with a variety that becomes deeply conscious of the unity of a common divine touch in all. Each in the line of his own tendencies, each by selfless work can enrich his individual life by the deepest and noblest of experiences, like water drops, so many and so varied in birth and place, which reach at last the river and the sea through so many ways. Because of this defect, the ruinous conversion of energy to selfish ends, our activity and strenuous many-sidedness are cut up to mere waste. Our achievements are diffuse and have become unreal. We have not yet gained a spiritual center to our work, which is the very soul of the higher life, a path to be trodden by all, with the discovery by each of his own spiritual center. Action, even in its minutest details, will undergo a magic change both in the nature of its activity and in the fruits. The individual will become a higher being, and human society will evolve a nobler rhythm of life leading to peace and universal happiness. This is the way to rise up, and we must make resolve to rise up from the material level, material field into spiritual level, spiritual field. Unless we rise up, we can't even think of the glimpse of the bliss of God. So in order to even taste the glimpse of the bliss, we must rise up from the material level. If the mind is locked up in the material field, it doesn't allow you to recognize the higher happiness, the real happiness. In a way, such a mind will not allow freedom. So man is bound because of his own mind, which is full of desires, is always projecting outward, which has all outward tendencies, which is loaded with worldly tendencies. So one has to think deeply. As I said earlier also, everybody has got that spiritual mind. Only thing is, you must give good attention for developing spiritual mind. The more and more it develops spiritual mind, the more and more we rise up from the material level to the spiritual level. And by constantly working on culturing the spiritual mind, we become in that process really strong spiritually, and will not be able to slip down to material level again. So we must keep on rising up till we reach the goal. That is, till we see, till we have the vision of God, or till we realize our true self. And then that is the end of spiritual journey. Of course, we have got a special retreat in Ganges coming up in the coming weekend. Swami Prabodhanji from San Francisco, he will be coming tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and we will all go to Ganges on Friday. The very important subject he has chosen for this retreat, spiritual journey, its agonies and ecstasies. Excellent subject. I was really thrilled when I heard that subject. And then Sunday he speaks on after liberation what? Very uplifting discourses. Never miss this opportunity. So all other things can wait upon. They won't go. They come and pounce upon you. But spiritual retreats will not come like this. They're all occasions to become aware of our reality, to rise up. Spiritual retreats will make us rise up from the muddy worldly level to most transparent spiritual level. That's all what I want to say. We can meditate. What all the topics we have heard and all the discourses we have heard all through these months, one by one recapitulate. Yes. So some period should be given for recapitulating, Otherwise, how do you remember? Page 836. Dr. Madhu was treating Sri Ramakrishna. He frequently visited the master Dakshineshwar, coming by country boat from Calcutta. The devotees were very much worried about the master. It was their secret desire that the physician should see him daily. M said to the master, Dr. Madhu is an experienced physician. It would be nice if he sees you every day. Pandit Shampada of Antipur arrived. It was dusk. The Pandit went to the bank of the Ganges to perform his evening worship. He had some amazing visions during the worship. He returned to the master's room and sat on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna had just finished meditation and the chanting of the holy names. He was sitting on the small couch, and M and the putrag, Rakal, Latu and the others were in and out of the room. Master said to M, pointing to the Pandit, "He is very nice." To the Pandit he said, "Where the mind attains peace by practicing the discipline of Neti Neti, there Brahman is." The king dwells in the inmost room of the palace, which has 7 gates. The visitor comes to the first gate. There he sees a lordly person with a large retinue, surrounded on all sides by pomp and grandeur. The visitor asks his companion, "Is he the king?" "No," says his friend with a smile. At the second and the other gates, he repeats the same question to his friend. He finds that the nearer he comes to the inmost part of the palace, the greater is the glory, pomp, and grandeur. When he passes the 7th gate, he does not ask his companion whether it is the king. He stands speechless at the king's immeasurable glory. He realizes that he is face to face with the king. He hasn't the slightest doubt about it. Pandit said, "One sees God beyond the realm of Maya." Master, but after realizing God, one finds that he alone has become Maya, the universe, and all living beings. This world is no doubt a framework of illusion, unreal as a dream. One feels that way when one discriminates following the process of neti neti, not this, not this. But after the vision of God, this very world becomes a mansion of mirth. What will you gain by the mere study of scriptures? The Pandits merely indulge in reasoning. Pandit said, "I hate the idea of being called a Pandit." Master, that is due to the grace of God. The Pandits merely indulge in reasoning. Some have heard of milk and some have drunk milk. After you have the vision of God, you will find that everything is Narayan. It is Narayan himself who has become everything. The Pandit recited a hymn to Narayan. Sri Ramakrishna was overwhelmed with joy. Pandit, quoting from the Gita, "With the heart concentrated by yoga, with the eye of evenness for all things, he beholds the self in all beings and all beings in the self." Master said, "Have you read the Adhyatma Ramayana?" Pandit said, Yes sir, a little." Master said, "The book is filled with ideas of knowledge and devotion. The life of Savitri and the hymn by Ahalya are filled with bhakti. But you must remember one thing. God is very far away from the mind tainted with worldliness. So you must rise up from worldliness to spiritual." That's all. Any questions to ask? Anything to clarify? You're welcome. Yeah, why it has fallen into ways of terrorism? That's because of extreme materialism. Because money is the center. That's what I told today in my topic. There is a spiritual way, but how to make people understand the glory of spirituality? Unless the people turn inward, people are mad after external things because of the external influence. Take America itself, for example. As soon as they come into the land of America, immediately they are diverted. And they are full of diversions. It's called Vikshepa Shakti. And he gets into infinite scope for enlarging his vision outward. So he becomes very emotional in trying to earn more and more money. It's not bad to earn money, but the point is, money is the only object to be gained in this life. They come to that extreme. So as long as one holds money is everything, then all sorts of troubles occur. Because it is money that makes man's mind fickle. It makes man's mind fickle. A person who is honest and sincere may become sinful, come in contact with money. Or money makes a person commit sins. The other day I was telling, I don't know where I told this incident. Very recent incident which happened in Detroit 2 days before. Just 2 days before. One Indian has come from India, just 1 year only. One Mr. Patel. First name I have forgotten. And he came and somehow he was able to open a shop. He was selling donuts. And within 1 year he was able to get some good amount of money. And he was planning to bring his wife and children. He has 7 children, 7. Wife plus 7 children. And he was always thinking about how to bring them into America. Because he developed the confidence. And he had another assistant, he is also Patel. One day what happened? Some robbers came. They shot him at the back just for the sake of money. They killed him for no reason. Just for the sake of money. People do all sorts of crimes. And they induce people to commit crimes through money. How the gangs come up? Some people give money. I'll give $10 million. You go and kill him. For the sake of $10 million, he will go and kill. He doesn't think about any other thing. So how money forces a man to commit sins? So why this terrorism has become rampant? Because money has become the center of everyone's life. That has to be changed. We have to make, as I said, spiritual center. So that means we have to spread the spiritual force as much as possible, and that should be very strong. And you must spread this. That's why Sri Ramakrishna Swami Vivekananda said, message of Vedanta, that should be given to people all over the world. So when people become aware of this, then only we can think of getting rid of terrorism. So in Mahabharata time we used to have 100 Kauravas. Now the whole world is full of Kauravas only. The situation has come like that. That means what? That means, see, there's a stage. If the tree is infected with disease, if it is initial stage, it can be definitely treated. But if it is developed 50% disease, then also there is chance of getting the tree free from disease. But if the disease has become 90%, then there is no hope of freeing the tree from disease. And the only hope is, what hope? The tree should fall down the fresh tree should come. Just like that, the whole world is covered with terrorism. If people fight and quarrel like this, nature itself will force them to kill themselves and die in the process. Then the fresh creation will start. In Sri Krishna's life itself we see his own race, Yadava race. But because of the power, because of that outward tendency, they became very arrogant, hot-headed. They began to insult even rishis. So, in front of Lord Krishna himself, the whole Yadava race was wiped out because of their bad tendencies. So, it is like that. Whoever deals with, whoever has become terrorist has to die. Just like that. So, there's another way of nature. The world is exploding with population. How the population will, with so much of population, how to manage? So one thing is people killing one another and reducing the population. So it is true, the conflict of good and evil is in the maximum. Everybody thinking in his own way, whether right or wrong, they interpret religion and bringing bad name to religion. Though the purpose of religion is not that at all. The religion means is meant for higher life. Higher life means the manifestation of divinity. Divinity already in you. You have to develop your divine qualities. It is not easy to turn the people's tendencies so quickly. Lord Krishna himself tried to convince Duryodhana. Was he success? Was he succeed? Did he succeed? Because the bad tendency in Duryodhana was so high, his mind was tied down to the worldly level so much, his mind was in the material level so much, war became inevitable. Even Lord Krishna himself tried for peace. So, it's going on like that. The Rakshasa are killing another Rakshasa. The terrorist activity is going in such a way, one terrorist group is acting another terrorist group. Those who are not terrorists tend to become terrorists. Then the fight begins among terrorists themselves. This group, that group. For sake of name, power, position, etc. Finally, they die together. There's a story one, I think it comes from Mahabharata, or I don't know where, probably in Mahabharata. See, the Rakshasas, Asuras, were full of asuric qualities, jealousy, hatred, zeal for getting more and more power, etc. Wealth, passion, all extreme. So in Asuras, they are all extreme. 200% everything. So somehow it so happened, they saw celestial damsel one day. Her name was Urvashi. They were fascinated. And they began to pester her. They wanted to have pleasure with her. And she found a trick. She was quite sensible. She said, well, I am ready to be with you, but you choose among yourself. Whoever wants to come to me, you choose among yourself. Then the fight began among themselves. I must defeat this fellow so that I can get Urvashi. The other fellow was equally, yes, why should I bow down? I should kill that fellow and I must get Urvashi. So in that, they began to fight among themselves and both of them died. Then Urvashi left the place laughing. Just like that. The terrorist activity you are seeing now. That's the only way. But spirituality will be always like this. It's only for those who are really seeking spiritual life. They only come and get benefited. Vast majority of the people are like that only. And the law itself deals with them. We don't have to worry. Nature deals with them nicely. It forces them to become normal, otherwise face annihilation. That's the law of nature. Religion, what type of religion they are fighting for, that's all. It's not really religion. It's all surface level. Thinking that my voice alone is correct. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gita, in the Gospel. My religion alone is correct. My God alone is the true God. All others are false. If you follow your God and realize and go. Why do you think about other? That's the problem. If you think this road leads to my God, go. Who prevents you? That's Vedanta. But who wants to hear Vedanta? They want to make everybody Muslim. Or everybody wants to become Christian. Everybody wants to become Hindu. Why do you think like that? Why should everybody follow the same? Why should you want that way? There's beauty in diversity. I always give the example. Flowers are there. Varieties of flowers. How nice it is to look. If you have only one color and only one type of flower, it is monotonous. So it's beauty in diversity. That's the thing. When you go to higher life, you will see unity in diversity and diversity in the union, in one universal truth. So you have to study more and more Upanishads and Vedanta. That's the purpose of Sri Ramakrishna Universal Temple, to spread the universal aspect of religion, not pertaining to any one part of religion. Vishwadharma. Sanatana Dharma is Vishwadharma. Dharma is eternal. It is called as Hindu Dharma because the people living in the boundary of surrounded by Sindhu river, they were called as Hindus. But the religion itself is called as Sanatana Dharma. It has no label. You wanted to ask something? Kali Yuga avatar, according to our scriptures, is Sri Ramakrishna also has predicted it is Kalki. I don't know what that avatar really, according to Bhagavad, according to that tradition, all the avatars take place in India, and Kalki comes according to that tradition in India, Kalki, with a sword, riding on a horse, like that they say. We don't know actually. Maybe it is symbolic, but anyway. Yeah, that's why you see when the tree becomes deceased, the tree cutter will come and remove the tree. It's easy to remove the tree when it becomes sick. If it is healthy, you can't remove the tree. It's horrible. Just like that, when people are becoming so bad in every respect, then it seems the end is near. The fresh creation has to start, like that. Over a period of time it has developed. It is bad, it's over a period of time. Although it was, Satya was established, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Krita Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. All these three yugas, the dharma was most prominent. So it was slowly it was losing its grip. And now it is the turn of the Kali. so that it may fall down and fresh creation should start. Otherwise, how can it fall? Yeah, new kalpa, yes. Very good. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Old name steamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, down deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bought for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or revenue. The playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one, and thy mercy considering as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns with his desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteous rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.